War seems horrific and should be avoided at all costs, right? My theory is that wealth and power hungry kings and generals lust for more wealth and power with limited concern for the impact on subjects or uncertainties like total failure. Consequently, war happened with chaotic results for civilization and peasants. Considerable information is known about most participants during World War II, not much about ancient Mesopotamia. Hot headed god kings lusted for military glory with developed arrogance and no sense. King Klutz may have competent advisors and military training, in which case he could be as successful as Henry V, except for dying young on the battlefield from dysentery. King John was on the Klutz list. Various artificial mounds called tells from ancient times have levels of success followed by abandonment, then rebuilding decades later. Evidence of fire meant military defeat and destruction. Logistics is the strategic management of transporting goods to meet military needs efficiently. At the top of the list is moving fighting forces where needed with all the weapons ultimately for expected battles. Secondarily, there are needed food, water, medical aid, and appropriate warehousing of goods. Food is vital, and strategies have varied over time and by culture. Soldiers need a lot of food to maintain strength, stamina, and esprit de corps. But what happens during battles? Historically, not much was written about chow time during battles. Mongol cavalry archers finished attacks quickly, no problem. Soldiers in World War I trench warfare probably didn't have to go far for lunch from a makeshift kitchen. Quite a bit of knowledge is known about the food for most participants during World War II in different circumstances. Nazi soldiers, for example, ate well during the early years of the war, but starved if they became Soviet prisoners. With the possible exception of fleeing the battle, soldiers want to eat and drink, preferably a lot. The hot meals should provide meat and vegetables, plus foods preferred by the culture. That would be bread in the West, rice in much of Asia. Potatoes were a favorite after they arrived in the Old World. They were relatively easy to grow and reasonably nutritious. The worst case was not getting enough food, with the consequences of not having enough nutrition. That meant lack of stamina and diseases. Morale is high with nutritious hot food enjoyed by the soldier's culture, especially with some variety and a reasonable calorie count, say 4,000 calories a day. Cultures and fighting styles varied over the century, as did attitudes about the common soldier. They may have been respected by the leaders or not. Morale typically drops when expected food isn't available, with potentially fatal results. There is some information on the food of early cultures and some indication of meals eaten next time on Food, History, and Mystery.